one of the things I did, I've always wanted to ask you this question, but you know, I know you're a big time surfer and that it's such a big part of your life. And how has that influenced your work?
Well, big time surfer, I know. Big time is like, see you in the surf lights.
Committed,
I do
committed and
love
passionate. You're committed. You know, like you seek it out. Like you travel based on like places that are great for surfing. So to me,
mm,
big time.
yeah, it's definitely a big part of my daily and how I function. I fell in love with the water at a very young age. I fell in love with the ocean. When my brother and I were really young, we had a drowning incident, and he was revived, and that was incredibly frightening. And we were in it together, and I got out, and he didn't, but he survived. And we vowed to never fear water after that together. And the thing about surfing that is so incredible for me is that it's so much about overcoming fear every time you're out there. And every time you get past that fear, you're rewarded with this flow state of riding Mother Nature while she's moving. And you're part of it. And it feels incredible. It's the stoke. That's what stoke is. It's getting up and riding Mother Nature and being part of it. And it's such a humbling experience. And I have to get over myself all the time. And I like that. I like the challenge of that. I also just love the athleticism, and you can do longboarding, which is slow and mellow, or you can go in bigger waves and really drive the force of nature behind you and be part of this intensity. It just fits how I feel about life. It is life, you know. Sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's really hard. And every day the ocean looks different, the sky looks different. In 20 minutes, it can go from foggy to bright sun, and the color of the water is completely different. You know, it's it's such a visual ecstasy. And then the athleticism that goes along with that is incredible. There's meditation in it and patience, waiting for waves, riding waves once you've been waiting for so long, engaging with other people. I don't, it's beautiful.
And as a photographer, I can see how some of those elements play into the role of a photographer, where, especially with the work that you do, which is so inspired by nature and has water always as a theme. It seems to be an undercurrent in so much of the work that you do. But that patience, like when you're working with the natural world, you can't direct it. You have to wait.
That's so true. Yeah, I think it's so much about just being present and observing and being at the ready to capture while you're observing. Absolutely. I think that's a really good insight. And that's the meditative process of being in nature and capturing it very much so. So similar. Uh-huh. And then you're rewarded with an image that, you know, shares how it feels to be there. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
I think that's very much about my practice. The reason I really got into Photoshop is to be able to use that tool instead of just having one singular image. I can now manipulate the image and give it more depth so it feels like what it looked like. If I just capture that ocean in one shot, it'll look beautiful, it'll look like the ocean. But when I can manipulate the layers and bring them together and create more depth and change the colors, now it feels like what it looked like. You know, the camera can't ever capture what our eye sees. It's impossible.
So that right there gets to the crux of what makes your work so special for me, because it isn't straight photography, right? It's a whole bunch of like magic moments stitched together into the one frame. And that you, like that's what this image is about, is that it's got all these elements put together, and they're like hyper real, hyper beautiful, right?
Yeah, that process of bringing those elements together, those multiple captures, and then making it feel like it's not put together. I mean, that's been what I've been striving for my entire art career. So if if that simplicity is translated in one image, and I'm winning. I feel like that is exactly how I want it to feel, and it gives you just a really just simplistic moment with complex elements. It's
That's
yeah.
such a beautiful way to describe it, as a simplistic moment with complex elements. And for the record, when there really, I don't think ever has been a situation where someone's asked me, "Is this 12 photographs put stitched into one?" It is completely seamless. We take for granted still, I think, as viewers, that the image that we're looking at is as it seems, right? And then that's what we talked about, in the sort of the curatorial statement around landscape, and how each artist that we've invited into this collection uses landscape as a starting point, as like a point of inspiration to talk about like larger, maybe more complex issues. Um, and and so, I think that's a very interesting, this image very much weaves into that, right?
Mm, that's great.
Yeah. Thanks, Karen.
Thank you.